Erasmus of Rotterdam is a fascinating figure for understanding the intellectual currents of the Renaissance. He was a man of letters in the truest sense, and languages, really played a central role in both his thought and his legacy. Now, we often call Erasmus a prince of the humanists, and that title is well earned. But what truly distinguished him was his deep engagement with multiple languages, which he saw not merely as tools of communication, but as vessels of truth, tradition, and reform. Latin, of course, was his primary medium. It was the lingua franca of educated Europe, and Erasmus wielded it with remarkable elegance. He wrote his famous In Praise of Folly in Latin, not just because it was fashionable, but because Latin allowed him to engage directly with the classical past and with fellow scholars across borders. In fact, his Latin style was so admired that it became something of a standard for scholarly prose in his day. But Erasmus didn't stop at Latin. He also had a strong command of ancient Greek, which was quite rare at the time. His interest in Greek wasn't just academic, it was theological. He believed that to truly understand the New Testament, one had to read it in its original Greek, not through the filter of the Latin Vulgate. And so, he produced a groundbreaking edition of the Greek New Testament in 1516, with a new Latin translation alongside it. That work became the basis for many later vernacular translations, including Luther's German Bible. Erasmus's relationship with Hebrew, however, was more ambivalent. He recognized its importance, particularly for understanding the Old Testament, but he never gained the same proficiency in Hebrew as he did in Greek. As for the vernacular languages, Dutch, German, French, Erasmus spoke several, of course, having traveled and lived across Europe. But he did not write scholarly works in them. He feared, rightly or wrongly, that doing so would limit his audience and dilute the rigor of his ideas. He believed that Latin gave him access to a pan-European community of thinkers, something the vernacular could not yet offer. So, in sum, Erasmus was a man who lived in language. He understood that ideas were born and transmitted through the structures of grammar and rhetoric. His linguistic choices weren't arbitrary, they were strategic, shaped by both scholarly ambition and theological purpose. To read Erasmus is to hear the Renaissance itself finding its voice, sometimes in Latin, often in Greek, always with extraordinary clarity.